Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at a tool that might just change how you think about grading essays, Markers Helper.
Mm-hmm.
You brought this to our attention, and we're going to explore what it actually does, who it's built for, and, well, whether it could be a real game changer for your workflow.
Yeah, and we have some pretty interesting details here outlining its features and who it's aimed at.
Right.
From what we can see, this is an application specifically designed for, college professors and teaching assistants, people spending a lot of time evaluating student writing, especially essays.
Essays.
The information even uses examples of AI-generated submissions to sort of illustrate its capabilities.
Right. So the big questions we want to tackle are, how exactly does Markers Helper make that, well, often tough job of grading more efficient?
Mm-hmm.
What are its core functionalities? And ultimately, what practical difference could this make for someone like you who regularly assesses student essays? Let's dive in, shall we?
Let's do it.
First up, how does it handle the inevitable mountain of documents?
Okay, so one of the immediate benefits that jumps out is its document management system. The application allows you to view multiple submissions simultaneously, arranged either side by side in a grid or stacked on top of each other.
Oh, interesting. Side by side or stacked?
Yeah, imagine being able to directly compare different student responses or easily scan for common themes without juggling, a dozen separate files on your desktop.
That single feature alone sounds like it could save a lot of headache. But what if you need to really focus, deep dive into just one essay?
Well, it looks like you can collapse the entire assessment panel with just a click.
Okay.
That maximizes the screen real estate for the document you're actually reading, helps eliminate distractions, lets you focus.
That makes sense.
And what's particularly useful, I think, is the ability to upload your course materials right into Markers Helper.
Oh, really? Like the rubric and assignment?
Exactly. Think about having your assignment instructions, your detailed grading rubric, any special guidelines, all right there alongside the student's work.
So instead of flipping between your syllabus, the assignment sheet, and the student's submission, it's all integrated.
Precisely.
That sounds like a significant step towards a more, well, organized grading process. Now, once you have all those documents in the system, how does Markers Helper actually assist with the evaluation itself, like setting up your grading criteria?
Right. This is where the grading criteria functionality comes in. The application lets you define the specific criteria you'll be using. And it's not just like a generic rubric in a separate file. You actually build it right within Markers Helper.
Okay.
You get the flexibility to specify the point value for each criterion, so you can clearly weight different aspects of the essay based on their importance.
That level of detail seems important for, well, fair and consistent grading, right?
Absolutely.
But what about those things where you want to give feedback but not necessarily a number, like comments on their argument or something?
That's a great point, and Markers Helper addresses this with an option for completion-based criteria.
Completion.
Yeah, so this lets you give qualitative feedback on specific aspects, maybe the intro clarity or citation use, without assigning points that affect the overall grade.
Ah, okay. So you can still comment on it.
Exactly. Ensures you can address a broader range of issues. And crucially, while you're defining these criteria in Markers Helper, you can easily reference those course materials you uploaded earlier.
Ah, linking it all together.
Yeah, ensuring a direct alignment between your evaluation metrics and the assignment requirements.
Okay, so the system seems to streamline both the organization and the initial setup. Now, what about actually getting the student essays into Markers Helper? That can sometimes be, a bit of a bottleneck.
It looks like the submission handling is quite efficient. You can add student work just by selecting files from your computer or using drag and drop.
Drag and drop, nice.
And a smart feature is it detects and prevents duplicate uploads.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, eliminates that risk of grading the same paper twice, something I'm sure many of us have accidentally done.
Definitely a welcome safeguard. And once you've got a whole class set uploaded, how do you navigate through them, especially with, like, a large class?
Well, you have the option to read through multiple documents at once, arranging them manually or automatically in those layered or grid layouts we mentioned.
Okay.
And to help you keep track of which one you're actually focused on, it's highlighted with a red bar.
A red bar, right?
And this selection is synchronized across all the panels: the file list, the document viewer, the assessment part.
Ah, okay. So everything updates together.
Yeah, that visual cue seems like it would be really helpful for staying focused and avoiding errors when you're dealing with tons of submissions.
That synchronized highlighting sounds like a really intuitive way to stay organized. And what about keeping track of, say, individual students or assignments within a big batch?
Markers Helper lets you give nicknames to submissions for easier identification.
Nicknames.
Could be useful if file names aren't clear or you want to categorize them somehow. The original file name is always there too, though.
Right, so you don't lose the original info.
Exactly. Plus, there's a grading status overview. It gives you a visual snapshot of your progress.
How does that work?
For each grading criterion, you see a dot. A green dot means you've finished assessing that specific part for that submission.
Ah, like a little checklist.
Sort of, yeah. And once all the criteria for a submission are marked green, the final score pops up right next to the document name in your list.
So at a glance, you can see exactly where you are with each paper. That's a huge improvement for managing a heavy grading load.
Definitely.
Are there features to sort or filter the submissions? Like find one student quickly?
Yes, you can filter by student ID. Very useful if you need to find one specific student's work fast.
Good.
And you can also choose to hide submissions that are already fully graded.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, lets you focus just on the essays that still need attention. That filtering could be a real time saver near the end of grading a big assignment.
Okay, the organizational side seems really robust.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the core task. Giving feedback, assigning scores. How does Markers Helper help with that critical part?
Well, when you're working on a specific grading criterion in the assessment panel, you can just click on Description, and it instantly shows the detailed explanation you set up when you defined that criterion.
So the rubric's right there.
Right there, immediate access helps ensure you're applying the same standards consistently across all papers without constantly looking back at a separate document.
That direct link to the rubric in the grading interface is a smart way to promote consistency. What about seeing how you've graded similar work before? Sometimes it helps to glance back, right?
Totally. And Markers Helper includes a compare feature for exactly that.
Compare.
Yeah, it lets you view the feedback you've already given on other submissions. You can sort these comparisons by score or by submission name or nickname.
Ah, interesting.
Could be really useful for spotting patterns in your grading or making sure you're being consistent across different levels of student work. Like maybe you want to quickly see how you graded other essays that got a B on analysis, for example.
And when you do these comparisons, can you actually see the student work that feedback was about?
Absolutely. When you use the compare feature, you get the full context.
Oh.
The student's essay shows up on the left, and your specific feedback for that essay is on the right.
Oh, side by side.
Yeah, that direct juxtaposition lets you clearly see the link between the content and your evaluation. Helps make your current grading more informed and consistent.
That level of detailed comparison could be incredibly valuable for, well, refining your own grading practices too. What about getting a broader picture? Like, how did the whole class do on one part of the assignment?
For that, Markers Helper offers a statistics feature for each grading criterion.
Statistics for each criterion.
Click on that, and you get descriptive stats, average score, median, standard deviation for that specific criterion across all the submissions. Okay? Plus, it shows a histogram and a distribution curve. Gives you a visual representation of how students performed on that particular aspect.
Wow, okay.
That data can give you a really valuable overview of the class's strengths and weaknesses on that point.
That kind of data-driven insight could be really useful for informing your teaching, right? Maybe identifying where students struggled, or even if the assignment needs tweaking.
Exactly. Potential for future iterations.
Now, what about the actual process of, typing out the feedback? Is that assessment panel a fixed size or?
No, it's resizable, recognizing different users, different screens.
Nice.
If you need more space to read the description carefully, or you're writing a longer comment, you just drag a handle to adjust its size.
Okay.
And you can adjust the widths of both the assessment panel and the document viewer panel, too.
So you can customize the layout.
Yeah, optimize the screen to maximize reading space for the essays themselves, make it comfortable and efficient.
That level of customization is definitely a plus. What if you want to reuse feedback you've written or easily share it?
Markers Helper has options for that, too. You can view all the feedback for the current submission and just copy it to your clipboard.
Oh, handy.
Could be useful for pasting into, say, an email or saving elsewhere. And there's also a direct option to download all your feedback for one submission as its own separate file.
Download the feedback. Okay.
Yeah, it could be useful for giving students a complete record of your evaluation.
Those features for copying and downloading feedback would certainly streamline communicating with students.
And what about an overall summary, like how the class did on the whole assignment, not just bits?
Yes, Markers Helper provides overall statistics for the entire group of submissions.
Oh, okay.
Includes the average overall score for the assignment and also a breakdown of scores for each individual criterion.
So you get the big picture.
Gives you that holistic understanding of the class's performance on the assignment as a whole. Helps identify broader trends. Okay, so it sounds like Markers Helper offers a really comprehensive set of tools, all aimed at making essay grading more structured, more efficient. Now, thinking about you, our listener, what would you say are the key takeaways from this overview?
Well, I think the most significant takeaway is that Markers Helper really seems engineered to tackle those common headaches and time sinks in grading written work.
Right?
By putting everything together, submissions, rubrics, instructions in one place, it could seriously cut down the time spent switching between different windows and documents.
Yeah, that consolidation.
That alone could free up valuable time.
Absolutely. Reclaiming time is always a win.
And beyond just efficiency, those features like comparing feedback and seeing score distributions, they offer real chances for self-reflection on your own grading.
That's interesting.
Like, are you being consistent? Where is the class actually performing well or poorly? That kind of data can genuinely inform your teaching and how you assess things next time.
That element of data-driven feedback on your own grading is a really interesting, potentially powerful aspect.
Another key thing, I think, is the local operation and the focus on data privacy.
Yes, security.
The fact it runs on your machine and meets standards like FERPA, DPA 2018, UK GDPR, that suggests a real commitment to security and student privacy, which is obviously crucial for educators.
Knowing that student data is handled securely is certainly a critical factor, no question.
And finally, just the flexibility in the interface, being able to resize panels, arrange things, it shows a user-centered design.
Right, it's not one size fits all.
Exactly. It acknowledges that educators work differently, have different setups, and tries to accommodate that.
So after this deep dive into Markers Helper, you can see it's a tool packed with features, really aimed at streamlining essay grading for educators. That ability to manage documents efficiently, customize criteria, gain insights through comparison and stats, that seems particularly noteworthy. What stands out to you most about these features? Do you see this as a tool that could potentially fit into your current workflow?
Well, this exploration really highlights an interesting direction in EdTech, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How might tools like this keep evolving, not just to make grading faster, but maybe to actually enhance the feedback itself and ultimately help students learn more effectively? It's definitely something to ponder.